Read NCRT line by line. Read NCRT thoroughly 15 to 20 times. NCRT should be on your fingertips. All of these are things that every student has heard someplace or the other. And as you might have guessed, I'm talking about inorganic chemistry. Or if you're studying for NEET, you might have guessed biology, in which case, no worries, this video still applies to you. Inorganic chemistry is a subject consisting of information, lots and lots of it. Whether it's reactions, structures, properties, or trends, every page of an inorganic chemistry chapter is full of content waiting to be crammed into your brain the week before the exam. But the truth is, many intelligent students struggle with inorganic chemistry. That makes it an automatic score booster. Think about it for a second. If you know the answer, in the exam, you're just going to tick the correct answer and move on in less than 10 seconds. That's plus 4 marks in 10 seconds, which is invaluable in an exam as stressful and competitive as JEE or NEET. So, what is it exactly that makes inorganic chemistry so hard to deal with? Well, the answer lies in the way it's studied. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Akshat, and in today's video we'll be taking a look at Anki, an app that uses scientifically proven techniques to help memorize information. So let's get into it. This question might have crossed your mind at least once while studying. Well, the answer is that there are no right or wrong ways when it comes to studying. There are only efficient and inefficient techniques. So here are some popular study techniques that students use especially for memorization. I've tried these, you've tried these, all of us have tried these. And it's surprising to note really that something like highlighting that all of us have done for years and years is something that is actually holding us back. There have been hundreds of studies proving how all of these methods are actually inefficient. Now this applies to the majority of people, unless you are a superhuman like my girlfriend who can just remember an entire chapter by reading it once. I won't be going into detail about why all of these videos are not worth your time. Ali Abdal has a great video on it, which I've linked in the description below. So now the question arises, what exactly is worth your time? I've mentioned Anki briefly in my previous video. It is essentially a flashcard app where you can convert all of your notes into a question and answer format and use these questions to test yourselves at regular intervals of time. Anki is an app based on two of the most efficient study techniques that science has to offer: active recall and spaced repetition. Let us briefly take a look at what these techniques are, and then we'll move on to how you can use Anki specifically for inorganic chemistry. Active recall involves recalling information by essentially testing yourselves by answering questions. This act of recalling information from our brains repeatedly not only increases our ability to retain information, but it also helps improve your connections between different concepts. In a nutshell, this technique is based on the idea that the harder your brain works to recall an idea, the harder it will be for you to forget it. Forgetting information over time is a very common thing. We read a chapter, we forget it, we revise it again, and the cycle continues. This is something known as the forgetting curve in action. The idea being that over time, we forget things at an exponential rate. This brings us to a curve very much similar to the first order chemical reaction that you see in chemical kinetics. So here is where our second technique, spaced repetition, comes in. The idea being that the more we interrupt the forgetting curve, the harder it becomes for us to forget things. Spaced repetition in a nutshell is just a schedule of revision in a way such that it interrupts the forgetting curve again and again long enough for the information you're studying to be transferred over to your long-term memory. If these techniques sound complex or confusing to understand, don't worry, you won't have to deal with them at all. Anki will handle all of it for us. All you have to do is study. Now that we've seen the techniques that Anki is built on, it's time to start the actual process of studying with it. I've linked a simple tutorial on how you can install and set up Anki if you need, and with that, let's get started. Here in Anki, you can see that we have the desks that I've set up as all of the inorganic chemistry chapters. I've also included biomolecules and chemistry in everyday life because these chapters also have a lot to remember. So without any further ado, let's get started. Click create deck at the bottom and name it whichever chapter you're going for. I'll name it the block group 15 just for the purpose of this video. As you can see, I have the NCRT PDF open on the other side of Anki, and what I'm going to do is go to click P block group 15. You don't really have any cards in it, so you'll go up here, click add cards, and something like this will come up, but we'll be using only three types of them. The first is the basic one, the second is the close card type, and the third is a custom 10 questions card, which you can learn to build in another tutorial I have linked in the description below. The basic card is best used for let's see, something like structures. So for example, phosphorus, you have white and red phosphorus, so I'm just going to click control windows s windows shift s and snip this image of, as you can see, the snip has been slaved to my keyboard, and I'm going to take the snip of the structure of red phosphorus and I'm going to add it to the back column. So I'm in close, wait, go to basic, I'm going to add it to the back column, and in the front I'll just write up something like, and that is it. So here you have a question card where the question is what is the structure of red phosphorus, and the answer behind it is the actual structure that you've got. So now you just have to press add here, and that's it. So for structures you'll use the basic card, and next we come to 10 questions. We leave close for the end because close is the most magnificent card, the most useful type of card that you'll ever see. So 10 questions is typically used for tables like the oxides of nitrogen, big tables like these. You'll also find acids of phosphorus, acids of sulfurs. All of these tables can be conquered using the 10 questions cards. So the idea here is you again take a snip with Windows Shift S. You take the snip of this whole table and you paste it into the answer table. Just go to your notifications tab and click on the snip save here. Let me just bring it here. Now you'll have the snip and sketch menu open. So let me explain what 10 questions actually does. So let's take the first oxide, dinitrogen oxide. I'm going to hide everything about this. I'm going to hide the formula, I'm going to hide the oxidation state, the method of preparation, and the physical appearance. Again, I'm just doing this in the snip and sketch menu with my mouse by just clicking on this marker pen here. Now once this is done, you can press Ctrl C to copy it, and you go back here into Anki and you paste this inside question 1. So essentially your first question is everything about dinitrogen oxide, its formula, method of preparation, oxidation state, and physical appearance. Now you go back here, you undo everything you've done, and you do the same for the next oxide. So just like this, you'll fill up for every oxide of nitrogen and you'll just click add. I'm just filling up 2 right now because, as I said, it's a tutorial. So once this is done, you can close this up, and now we're going to come to the close card. The close type is what you'll be using throughout your inorganic chemistry journey. It's the card that you'll be using the most. So let me show you an example of it. I'm going to copy this paragraph from NCRT. I'm going to press Ctrl C, Ctrl V. I have copied this line, this paragraph from NCRT word to word, and now what I'm going to do, what close card essentially does is you can create fill in the blanks with these. So let me show you how. Now this paragraph reads, small amount of any natural nuclear also found in this reaction, these impurities can be removed by passing the gas through sulfuric acid, yada yada yada. So what you think here is what can be asked as a question. Looking at this, I can see that small amount of they can ask small amounts of water produced in the reaction of NH4Cl and NaNO2 here, and how can these impurities be removed, and how it can also be obtained by the thermal decomposition of ammonium dichromate. So here I see three questions that can easily be made in the final exam. So what I'm going to do is create a closed deletion, which is a fancy way of saying a fill in the blanks. Say I want to you put this statement in fill in the blanks. So what you do is you press Control Shift C, and you'll see this weird symbol come up. This means it will now show up as a fill in the blank when you're doing your questions. So it will not appear in the questions, it's essentially an answer. Passing the gas through aqueous sulfuric acid is, I think, another question that can be formed. So I'm just going to select aqueous sulfuric acid, and I'm going to press Ctrl Shift C. You can also tap this icon, which is the closed deletion icon. And as you can see here, we have numbers like C1, C2, and here we have Control Shift C, C3 as well. So what these numbers signify is that we have 1, 2, 3 cards, 3 different questions that will be asked. Now, if you want everything to be a single questions, all you have to do is go back and change this number 2 to 1. That's it. And now all of these blanks will show up as one question, and I'll add that in as well, and I'm going to close. And now as you can see, you have 4 new cards that you can study in P block. So let's start studying. Click on study now, and we have our first question. What is the structure of red phosphorus? So here you know that it's a branch structure and it's a polymer, so you just press enter and the answer comes up on the screen, red phosphorus. Now here at the bottom you can see that there are 3 parameters on by which you can judge if you knew the answer well or not. And by your response, Anki decides at which interval to provide you with this question again. If you knew it pretty easily, you can just click the easy button, which means that you'll be asked to review this card in 3 days. I'm going to click easy because it's really easy for me. And now we have the 10 questions card in action. Here we're being asked the formula, which is N2O, oxidation state gas, and it's neutral. Yep. So I got that correct as well. It was pretty easy for me. This is what I was talking about. Your closed deletions will come up as fill in the blanks, which is very, very helpful. You can literally just underline or highlight whatever important stuff you have in your NCERT, open the PDF, copy all of the stuff in it, and move it over to Anki, create fill in the blanks, and that is it. Let's answer this question. Small amounts of NO and N2O4, I think, HNO3, my bad. Well, in this moment I would click again since I answered incorrectly and I was a bit hazy on the memorization. You've basically, as you can see, now you have 0 cards due on it. So this is how you complete a deck, and now you'll be asked to review these cards at a later date, as you saw, 3 days, 1 day, etc, etc. And that is it for today. I hope I made inorganic chemistry a little easier for you. So go experiment with the Anki app, go create your decks and add some cards. And if you made it this far into this video, thank you so much for watching my videos. It truly means a lot to me. And if you enjoy the content, just hit that like button and subscribe for more stuff like this. And I'll see you in the next video. I'm weird.